Welcome back. Happy Monday morning to everybody out there. I hope everyone had a prosperous and blessed weekend. If you're a weekend warrior, hopefully you got all your little projects done. If you're not, and maybe you had to work during the weekend, well, hopefully you get a day off here soon. But anyway, my name's CJ. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here with me this morning. Hopefully, we're going to elevate your player prop research to get you prepared for tonight's 10-game NBA banger of a slate. We're going to be taking a look at some of the top plays for points, rebounds, assists, and three-point makes to try and get everybody prepped and ready to go to hopefully win a little bit of extra money tonight. So appreciate everybody who's already in here this morning. It's good to see a strong turnout once again. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button now. Guys, there's a real chance here. We've got a real opportunity here to hit the goal. And that goal is 3,000 subscribers by January 1st, my 1-year anniversary on YouTube. I was kind of thinking it was going to be a lofty goal, but you guys continue to blow my expectations away, whether it be dropping 100 plus likes on these live streams, whether it be subscribing to the channel, whether it be dropping super chats, joining me on Patreon for some extra content, exclusive content, whether it be just showing up here and leaving a great play in the chat with the rest of the folks. You guys just continue to overwhelm me. And honestly, I'm going to take the roof off of this. I'm going to take the ceiling off of this. I don't think there's anything that we can't do together. What do you think? What do you think? I'm just saying, you guys have been ultra super supportive, and I continue to be so forever thankful. So let's go ahead and run through the chat. We got Boston in here this morning. Good morning to you, Boston. Dave Gutierrez back again. He is a regular around these parts. We've got a Patreon member in the building. My man Shy, good morning to you. Let's get some money. I agree with that. CM Morris is here. He left me some kind comments. I think it was just a couple of days ago. So good to see you able to join us this morning. Juju Splash, ready to make a splash. We back in this, baby. Good to see you as well. Too Far Gone. Good to see you again. Let's go. Good morning to you. Mr. Antho, 1690, top of the morning. Let's get it. We are definitely going to get it. CM Morris says, hit the like button, folks. Actions speak louder than words. So drop a like on this live stream, like my man CM Morris suggested. Good to see Anthony in here this morning. Gio's back again. Dave Kinder, good morning from Charlotte. Good morning from Tampa to you, Dave Kinder. Jen says, what's up, man? Gonna miss the live. Got docs today, but you made me a few bucks this weekend. Well, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that. Wanted to say thanks. I'll watch later and sign up for Patreon. Awesome. Love to hear it, Jen. Thank you so much for the support. Anthony is back in here saying Mondays. Yep, we got a new week here, a new opportunity for us to make a few extra dollars. So let's go ahead and get it done. Eric is in here saying, good morning from NYC. Lots of breaking even. Need to break through tonight. All right, maybe we alter the strategy. If you're breaking even, maybe there's something we could do strategy-wise, because it sounds like you're hitting some winning picks, but you're also running into some duds. So maybe we can alter the strategy a little bit. Maybe less power plays, maybe a little bit more flexing equals more opportunities for profit, Eric. Just an idea, just throwing it out there. Taylor says, I know you got the picks for today. Well, I don't have them just yet, but you and I and the rest of the community here, we're going to be doing the research live and in living color for you this morning, and hopefully we can get on some of those winning picks. Lamont says, let's make money. I agree, Lamont. Michael, good to see you. Had a rough 3 days. Props missing by like 1 point. Yeah. The lines makers know what they're doing. They're setting some very competitive lines. As more data, more information comes in this NBA season, these lines can be pretty difficult, but we got to look for some opportunities there, and I think we're going to be able to find some. So Alexis is back in here. Good to see you again, Alexis. Nick Nestor's back again. He is a regular around these parts. Emmanuel, good morning to you. What's good, Juju? Good to see you again. Royster Cam is in here. Says today will be a good day. I love the positive energy. I love the positive vibes that you're dropping in here already this morning, Royster. Love to hear it. Breadwinner already dropping a nugget here, liking some Franz Wagner. You know I'm an Orlando Magic fan, so I got to ride with my boy Franz. I think that's going to be a play that'll come up in this live stream as we go through it. Travis Knott, he's been around here for quite some time. Good to see you joining us this morning, Travis. Smooth in here. Good morning to you. It's been a week since I've been here, but he's back. Looking forward to the Money Making Monday. That's right, Triple M, baby. Money Making Monday. We got to bring the energy. We got to bring the winning picks to today's live stream. Craig Fields, good to see you. David's in the building. Love to see you. He's WhoDat117 on Patreon. All right. I see you, Dave. WhoDat, one of my Patreon supporters. Love to see you up in here interacting this morning. Good to see you. Alan, good morning to you. Daquan, good morning to you. $1,200, Daquan. Man, you killed it, brother. That is a great weekend by any measure. Shot by Tree, good to see you back in here. L Props, first live. Excited about this morning. Loving all the comments. Eric, good to see you again. Welcome back. Hal, good morning to you as well, brother. Hope you had a good weekend as well. I had a pretty good weekend. Took it easy yesterday, but yeah, man. We had a great weekend in the Discord community. We put together a community pick on NBA Saturday. Then yesterday, I did a little live stream, I guess you could call it, a live audio experience in the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, you can check that out down in the link below. There's links for Patreon as well if you want to check that out. But yeah, we ended up landing on some winning picks on Saturday for NBA. And then we ran it back on Sunday. And I think my little live podcast in Discord ended up winning some folks some money. So shout out to everybody who won a little bit of extra cheddar cheese. Toxic, good to see you. Hayden, what's happening? Delvin, nice to see you as well. Official M23 dog. Yo, 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 Money Making Monday. That's right. Alton's in here. Here from Patreon Discord. Let's get this money and start the week off right. I feel you. I feel you. Based the Wolf, first live. Let's go. Well, let's go. Let's go. Good to see you in here as well, Mr. Josh Wigginton. All right, guys, 10 games. I gave all the shout outs. let's get down to business here. We're going to be looking at, as I mentioned, points, rebounds, assists, and 3-point makes. Shout out to the replay gang too. If you're not able to be here live this morning, that's all right. I know the hashtag replay game is holding me down super strong. So appreciate everybody who watches these replays as well. Feel free when I do these live streams to skip the first few minutes because it's going to be just me shouting out everybody who's in the chat this morning. But let's move on to it. We got 10 NBA games. Starting things off, 7 p.m., Philadelphia 76ers at the Charlotte Hornets. No real big injury news for the Philadelphia 76ers. Keep an eye on Tobias Harris. I mean, he's a game time decision. I kind of expect him to play. I think he did miss the last game. Maybe not. Memory might be off on that. But over on the Charlotte side, that's where we really got to look because we got LaMelo Ball out, Terry Rozier out, and Mason Plumlee out. 3 big ones. And they're dealing with COVID issues, a little COVID outbreak on the Charlotte Hornets. 7 p.m. also brings us the Washington Wizards at the Indiana Pacers. Spencer Dinwiddie, keep an eye on him. He is currently a game time decision. Over on the Indiana side, probably the biggest injury news there, TJ McConnell, who's expected to miss some time. 7 p.m., we've also got the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Detroit Pistons. 2 of the worst teams in the NBA, we'll just say. SGA already ruled out for the Thunder. And then for the Detroit side, Corey Joseph, game time decision. Olynyk and Diallo already ruled out. 7:30 p.m., Memphis Grizzlies at the Miami Heat. Ja Morant continues to sit out for the Memphis Grizzlies. Brandon Clark, a game time decision. Over on the Miami Heat side, the biggest one to be on the lookout for is going to be Jimmy Butler. He might make a return tonight to this Miami Heat squad. Just keep an eye out on injury news throughout the day. Bam Adebayo, of course, is going to miss some time for Miami. 8 p.m. Atlanta Hawks at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Looking at this game, DeAndre Hunter's already out. Bogdanovich has already been ruled out. We got to keep an eye on Cam Reddish. What's his name? Solomon Hill is a game time decision as well. Over on the Minnesota side, Pat Beverly is a game time decision. He's missed the last handful of games for Minnesota, but maybe he gets back in there. D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns are both game time decisions, guys. Those are really, really impactful pieces of injury news. Obviously, if those guys are out, you might want to look at some Anthony Edwards. I don't think I have to really twist your arm there. Cleveland Cavaliers at Milwaukee Bucks, also at 8 p.m. Colin Sexton continues to sit out with the torn meniscus. We got to keep an eye on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Someone out there said that it is his birthday today. Do you think he plays on his birthday against the Cleveland Cavaliers? I hope to get him in there. Grayson Allen is also a game time decision. And George Hill, a game time decision as well. 8 p.m. Denver Nuggets at Chicago Bulls. Lots of red for the Denver Nuggets. Bowl. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, PJ Dozier, Austin Rivers. I mean, just name after name after name. They're running a pretty short rotation right now. So you're going to see guys like Jeff Green get more playing time. He was a nice little play if you took the over on his rebounds this weekend. Over on the Chicago side, Alex Caruso, game time decision. Kobe White continues to sit with COVID. Moving down to 9 p.m., San Antonio Spurs at the Phoenix Suns, 2 of the Western Conference teams. Nothing real crazy going on the San Antonio side. I guess Devin Vassell might be, somewhat impactful for the Spurs. Over on the Phoenix side, though, Devin Booker, the big one there, he will be out for tonight. Monday, 10 p.m., Los Angeles Clippers at Portland. Kawhi Leonard continues to sit out. Nick Batum continues to sit out for Portland. No Dame Lillard. No Anthony Simons. 2 big ones there. And the late night hammer, my Orlando Magic. I'm going to have to stay up late. Take on the Golden State Warriors. This game's probably going to be very lopsided. If you look at the spread right here, it's already 16.5 points. Lots of names out for the Orlando Magic. Probably the most noteworthy, Jalen Suggs, the rookie, continues to sit with a fractured thumb. And then over on the Warriors side, Wiseman, Iguodala, Klay Thompson, all ruled out. So there you go. Lots of games, lots of names to talk about. Good morning to everybody who's just getting in here. It's good to see my man, Anthony Taylor, longtime supporter, been backing me from day one. I appreciate to see you in this live stream this morning. Gosh, got to get my words out. Will Charles made $450 last night, but I had to sweat it out to the end of the Rockets and Pelicans game. Garrison Matthews hit a 3 with 18 seconds left to go over by 0.5. Well, I'm glad you made some money, Will. Let's continue that trend today. So we're going to go over to props.cash. You know the drill if you've been here before, but if you haven't, we use props.cash. $19.99 a month. You get access to NBA, NFL, and NHL right now. When MLB comes back around, you'll have access to that too. So 4 different sports at the moment that you can get access to for just under $20 per month. Check it out. All your player prop research in one site. No need to have multiple sites up. No need to have multiple tabs and windows up. Everything's pretty much consolidated to one easy to use platform. So props.cash, that's the move. So one thing that I really love here about props.cash is this NBA player props trends page. That's usually where we start the research off. And I like to go ahead and change that split from a current season to the last 10 games. So when we look at the last 10 games, we've got the line here that shows how many points that the sports books and everything have these guys set to score tonight. And then we've got the hit rate here, which shows how often they've covered that line in the last 10 games. And then we've got the over and the under, indicating how real life bettors, people with real hard-earned, cold, hard cash are putting their money down. Are they betting the over on this prop, or are they betting the under? So that's kind of the lay of the land here on this player prop trends page. So let's get signed in over here on this second tab that I like to keep open just for presentation purposes here. But the top of the heap here, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He was at 10.5 points last night. I actually hit the under, and for good reason, because I noticed that on December 3rd against the Cleveland Cavaliers, he had just 4 points. And then I started looking at the rest of his game logs, and I'm like, this dude has been smashing 10.5 points. And I think that he can return back to 10.5 or more points, right? So I ended up taking the over on KCP, and he came through with 26 big points. So maybe he's a name that we should consider tonight. He is on a back-to-back. Fatigue possibly could play a factor. Washington kind of got ran out of the building pretty quickly yesterday against Toronto, but I'm going to think that I go back to KCP here at just 11.5 points. Let's dig in, and maybe you'll see what I see on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So to do this, you could just type in his name here to props.cash. They have this search function up in the top left-hand corner. Makes finding your favorite player or prop super quick and easy. So in his last 10 games, a 70% hit rate at 11.5 points. For the season, he is averaging exactly 11.5 points. But in the last 10 and last 5 game spans especially, things get really juicy here for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Scoring averages 14.7 points per game and 15.4 in his last 10 and his last 5. So if we look at the last 5 here, he did have that letdown game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but overall things are looking very, very strong here for KCP. Now, if we look at how he's done against the Indiana Pacers, we got 2 games from last season. He scored 7 against Indiana on 3/12 as a member of the Lakers, not a member of the Wizards, so totally different scenario here. 13 against Indiana on 5/15, and then the one previous matchup from this season against the Indiana Pacers, he scores 7 points. That was back on October 22nd. So showing a lot better form now than he was back around mid to late October. So moving things down here, looking at this matchup against Indiana, we're seeing a lot of green and yellow on the board, meaning this shouldn't be an overly tough or difficult matchup for KCP tonight or the rest of the Washington Wizards. If maybe you don't like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I get it. I kind of was hesitant last night clicking the over at 10.5 points, but he came through with 26. So I'm just saying, this dude's been scoring the basketball a lot and taking a ton of shots for Washington. Anyways, against Indiana, this matchup here looks pretty good. 16th overall in terms of points allowed, 17th in field goal percentage allowed. They do rank 4th in three-pointers allowed, so I wouldn't be so quick to fire up any three-point props against this team. But if we look at the percentage, they're giving up a good percentage to the three-pointers that do go up against them. They're making a high rate. They rank 24th there, and then they're 23rd in free throws allowed. So if we get anybody on the Washington side for free throw props later in the day on PrizePicks, maybe you fire those guys up against this Indiana Pacers squad, and just 22nd overall in shooting guard defense. This game has a pretty decent total, 211 points, but Indiana is a 5.5 point favorite, and we already talked about Washington is in the back half of a back-to-back, so that's 2 games in a row for Washington. Looking at the minutes for KCP, 26 minutes per game in his last 5 games, so he's getting plenty of run here. And this is what I was talking about. Dude's taking a ton of shots in his last 5 games. You're seeing his average is up over 10 field goal attempts per game, which is definitely an increase versus where he's at for the season at just 9.1, and even an increase in his last 10, seeing a lot more shots here lately. Going down, looking at his 3-point attempts, the last 5 games, he's getting about 4 3-pointers up. Now, that is actually a little bit lower than where he's at for the season at 5.3 3-point attempts. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope getting to the line, but it's been hit or miss, so you definitely don't want to take any free throw props on him there. All in all, though, it looks like a pretty decent matchup as long as this game stays close and competitive here for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's been showing very good form lately. As you can see in his last 10 games and even better in his last 5, he's been scoring the basketball quite a bit here for Washington. So let's go ahead and pull up a projection for you. For that, we're going to be using Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs. So let's go ahead and type in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's name. I'm just going to go POPE, take the shortcut here. And they've got it projected for 10.2 points, which puts him slightly under 11.5 points. Now, you have to pay for Action Labs. Action Labs is not free, unfortunately, but well worth it if you're looking to spend a little bit of dinero on a premium player projection site. Check out Action Labs, but if not, then definitely go check out NumberFire. There's RotoWire. There's Betting Pros. There's a number of different sites out there that offer you some free projections, but nonetheless, they're projecting him to go under 11.5. The matchup looks good. The form lately has looked pretty good for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think he's a name that you should definitely consider tonight, possibly taking an over on, despite what the projections say. All right, so that's enough about him. Franz Wagner up at 13.5 points, currently a betting favorite at minus 122 to go over. If we go down to the bottom of the board here on PrizePicks, we've got Wagner up at 13.5. Now, I know Wagner's points probably aren't the most popular prop for him today. Somebody has already mentioned, they've kind of spoiled things, we'll say in the chat. Franz Wagner's assist might be my more favorite way to go. But Wagner, nonetheless, at 13.5 points with Jalen Suggs being injured, has really stepped into a bigger role here for the Orlando Magic. 15 against Chicago. Comes real close here with 12 against Cleveland, 27 against Philly, 15 against Denver, and 17 against Houston. So you can consider Franz Wagner's points, but as I mentioned, I think his assist might be the better move. So we'll wait and see on Franz Wagner just for a few minutes until we get to the assist column. Another guy to consider is Ivica Zubac of the Los Angeles Clippers. He's been doing a pretty good job at a 60% hit rate of covering his player prop in terms of points at 9.5. Actually, 70% hit rate. But he is a betting favorite at minus 116 to go under. Jakob Poeltl of the San Antonio Spurs, 10.5 points, a 60% hit rate there, minus 122 to go over. So maybe you consider some Jakob Poeltl taking on the Phoenix Suns, so he'll be matched up against the likes of DeAndre Ayton. His last 5 games been a little dicey, hit or miss, 60% hit rate in his last 5. Don't know that I particularly love him here. If he doesn't get it done early in the game, I mean, I don't know. Things could get kind of ugly here for this Phoenix-San Antonio matchup. Could be a blowout. And then finally, DeMar DeRozan, the number 5 guy in terms of hit rate here at 60%, 25.5 points at the moment. DeMar DeRozan's been scoring the basketball very well here as a member of the Chicago Bulls, especially in his last handful of games. You can see in his last 5, he's got an 80% hit rate at 24.5 points, at 25.5 points on most of your sports books out there. Right now, though, they're betting the under on 25.5 at minus 118. But let's take a closer look at DMar DeRozan. I think this could be a little bit of value here at 24.5. So maybe the bettors out there don't like him at 25.5, but at 24.5, he becomes a little bit more attractive. So if we bump him down to 24.5, his hit rates really don't change from the last 10 games, still representing a 60% hit rate. But if you look at the averages here, there's a lot to love. 26.4 points per game this season, 25.6 in his last 10, 28.4 points per game in his last 5. And then in a previous meeting against Denver, he's averaging about 26. So let's look at those games. We'll throw out these last 3 because he was not a member of the Chicago Bulls last season. So we can kind of scratch that out. Let's just look at this one previous matchup against Denver on November 19th. He scored 26 points. covering 24.5 by 1.5 points. So showing that he can get it done against this Denver Nuggets squad. Now we look at the matchup here. We know Denver, if you've joined us in previous shows, is a tough team. There's a lot of red here. They rank 3rd in points allowed, 5th in three-pointers allowed, 7th in three-point field goal percentage allowed, 6th against the total free throw makes allowed. So you don't want to target any Chicago Bulls free throw props necessarily against this Denver Nuggets squad. They're just not allowing a ton of free throws. Where DeMar DeRozan shines potentially in this matchup, 25th in field goal percentage allowed are the Denver Nuggets, and just 20th in guarding opposing shooting guards, which is kind of DeMar DeRozan's role. Shooting guard, small forward, kind of a swing man. Now this game here has a total of 217 points. Chicago 4-point favorites at home, so pretty healthy total, and the spread is close enough for me to say that this game should stay competitive and we shouldn't see any blowouts. But of course, anything can happen in this crazy NBA world that we live in. Anyway, getting about 36 minutes per game, you can kind of get an idea of his field goal attempts per game, right up there around 19 to 20 per game. He's actually put up 21 shots against Denver in that previous meeting back on 11-19. And you could see on those 21 shots, he shot 7 for 21. So he actually did not have a very good shooting game, but still went over his point prop of 24.5, despite shooting just 33% from the field. You can see his 3-point field goal attempts. He's not going to take a lot. You know, he's good for a handful, maybe 2 or 3 per game. Here's where he was able to make his money, was at the free throw line against the Denver Nuggets. In that previous matchup, he went to the line 12 times, knocked down all 12 of his free throws. 100% of those free throws went in for DeMar DeRozan. So that kind of gives you an idea. Gets to the free throw line pretty well. Had a bad shooting night, but got aggressive and continued to attack the rim and made up for it on the free throw line. He's projected for 24.3 points today, so that puts him right in the ballpark, right in the neck of the woods here of 24.5. I really don't hate the over here at 24.5. As you can see on some of these sports books, they're betting the under at 25.5 like we talked about. So at 25.5, I get a little more hesitant, but at 24.5, I think it's worth a shot. I wouldn't go super crazy on it though. All right, let's go down the list here and look at some of the low hit rate guys. These are guys that you should maybe consider going under on if you come across any of their points props. The first one, Landry Shamet of the Phoenix Suns, who's stepping into a larger role with Phoenix due to the absence of Devin Booker. So you want to be careful because Shamet will be playing more minutes without D Book around. So 12.5 points, showing just a 10% hit rate, but we know that most of those games in his last 10 games were as a backup, not as a starter. So you got to be careful with that. Norman Powell at 18.5 points. His line is jacked up a bit because no Damian Lillard, no Anthony Simons. He's going to be stepping into a larger role. Typically, his points prop line is not up at 18.5. So that's why you're seeing a pretty low hit rate here on Norman Powell. But going back to Shamet real quick, he's at 11.5 over on PrizePicks. Even at 11.5, it's been hard for him to cover that. So I don't know that I feel super confident in Shamet going over 12.5 or 11.5. And then do we have Norman Powell up on the board yet for Portland? Doesn't look like they've added any Portland props up just yet, but we got to take a look at those when they do get added. Bradley Beal's a guy who's been struggling to score this season, or maybe he's just taken on a different role. Maybe he realized, look, I was scoring 30-plus points a game, and we weren't winning very many games last year with Russell Westbrook in town. Maybe I should take on more of a passing role. So I don't know what's going on with Bradley Beal, but the scoring is definitely down for Bradley Beal. Look at his last 5 games here. He's not even touched 20 points in 4 straight games, going for 18, 19, 14, and 14 respectively. So Bradley Beal on the struggle bus when it comes to scoring the rock. So at 24.5, I'm definitely liking the under and considering that here. He's a minus 122 betting favorite to go under 24.5. But at 23.5, it gets a little closer. But still, even at 23.5, he hasn't really even sniffed 20 points in 4 straight games. Eventually he will, but the Indiana Pacers, kind of a tough team, could be a difficult night again for Bradley Beal. Let's pull up a projection. I just kind of want to see what Action Labs has him up at. They got him up at 28 points tonight against Indiana, so I don't know why, but maybe they're projecting a bounce back here finally for Bradley Beal. Maybe this is a slump breaker situation here going against the Indiana Pacers. I'm just not buying into it too much. Other guys to consider going under on: Kyle Kuzma at 13.5 points, just a 20% hit rate this season, betting favorite at -118 to go under. And Mikal Bridges at 13.5. See, I'm getting better, guys. I'm getting better. He's no longer Michael Bridges, all right? He's Mikal Bridges. Mikal. 13.5 points, though, 20% hit rate, -122 at the moment. Just be careful with that one. Obviously, no Devin Booker. More shots for the rest of his teammates, so maybe Bridges ends up going over. All right, that's going to do it for the points props. We're going to switch it on over to rebounds. Hold your questions till the end. I'll start taking those at the end. That way I don't have to scroll all the way back up through the chat. Save us a little bit of time. If you can hold off on your questions, definitely continue the conversation. But if you have questions for me, hang on, I'll get to those after we're done going through the top trends here on props.cash. And thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't liked this stream yet, take an opportunity, go ahead and hit the like button now. All right, let's switch it up. We're going to look at some rebounds, then we'll get to assist, and then we'll get to 3-point makes. So looking at rebounds, last 10 game trends here. Who are the high hit rate guys? Let's take a look. All right, we got Killian Hayes of the Detroit Pistons, 3.5 rebounds, an 80% hit rate, -118 to go over this number. Not going to find any Killian Hayes up on the PrizePicks board. No. They're keeping him far away from us at a hit rate of 80%. Jakob Poeltl, we talked about his points. Let's look at his rebounds. 8.5 rebounds, 70% hit rate, -124 to go over 8.5 boards. Let's take a look and see if he is up on today's PrizePicks board. Once again, they have done a good job here on Jakob Poeltl's player prop. So instead of just taking him down altogether, they went ahead and took his 8.5 and moved it up to 9 rebounds. They shaved off the hook. They bumped him up to a solid 9 rebounds. But in his last 5 games, he's gone for 9 or more in 5 straight. That's a 100% hit rate. Technically, yes, there's some ties in there. His last 2 games against Portland and Golden State, he ended up pushing or tying at exactly 9 rebounds. But let's go ahead and take a look at him because the hit rates are there. Okay, the last 10 and the last 5 looking pretty good here for Mr. Jakob. So we type his name into props.cash. Of course, if you're getting him at 8.5 out on your favorite sports book, I think you definitely have to consider the over. In his last 10 games, 70%. If we bump this down from 8.5 down to 8, nothing really changes in terms of the hit rate. Maintains that 70% hit rate. At 8.5 boards, -124 to go over 8.5. We're looking at his averages here. 9.3 rebounds per game this season. Doing a pretty good job of cleaning the glass. 8.7 in his last 10. A little bit of a drop off. But in his last 5, things perk back up, averaging over 10 rebounds per game. So things are looking very good here for Mr. Poeltl. Let's go look at the previous matchups against this Phoenix Suns squad. He's got 1 game from last season where he cleared 8.5 rebounds with 10 boards against Phoenix back on May 16th of this year. Last season, but this year. And then in this one previous matchup, which was just a week or 2 ago, back on November 22nd, had 9 rebounds, so he went over the 8.5 threshold there. Ended up being a push if you're playing them tonight on PrizePicks at 9. So it ended up tying. Looking at this matchup, though, against the Phoenix Suns, they can be rebounded against. They rank just 23rd in total rebounds, 24th in offensive rebounds, and 18th in defensive rebounds. So not a particularly stingy team in terms of keeping other teams and other players off of the boards. What worries me the most here is the spread is 8 points in favor of the home team, the Phoenix Suns. No surprise. 215.5, though, plenty of points up on the board. So definitely could take a stab here at Jakob Poeltl, taking the over on 9 rebounds. Maybe you end up tying, pushing, but that wouldn't be the worst case in the world. His last 5 games getting about 30 minutes per game. Against Phoenix, 31.2 minutes per game. Then you can kind of get a look here, a snapshot of how his rebounds are comprised over the last 10 games. Green indicating offensive rebounds. So he actually does a really good job of getting on the offensive glass. Kind of surprising. You don't really see guys on the offensive boards like that. So, and that just happens to be where Phoenix struggles, is on the offensive glass. So maybe things are looking up here for Jakob Poeltl. Nonetheless, let's get you a projection here and get you moving on to the next player prop. They've got him projected. Action Labs has him at 9.4 projected rebounds. So that puts him slightly over 9. I think we take the over here. Maybe worst case, we end up in a tie. So there you go. Jakob Poeltl, high hit guy in terms of 8.5 rebounds. Not a bad way to go. Will Barton at 4.5 boards, 70% hit rate right now. He's even Steven. The money is split, -110 over, -110 under. Do we have Will Barton up on the board? Let's go find him. See if he's up on PrizePicks yet. Maybe I passed by him. I did. He's now at 4.5 rebounds. I was really liking him at 4 rebounds on PrizePicks. He was down also at 3.5 rebounds on most of the sports books out there. Maybe 4.5 becomes a little bit more difficult, but if you look at his last 5 games, no Michael Porter Jr. in the lineup, things have really opened up for Will Barton to get more rebounds. He's got 8 against Portland, 9 against Milwaukee, 5 against Miami. Falls short against Orlando with just 4. But then 6 against the New York Knicks. So maybe you could go to some Will Barton here. Let's pull up a projection for him. They got a projected for 5 rebounds. So even though he's a betting favorite to go under 4.5 rebounds at -140 on DraftKings, the fact that he's at 4.5 on PrizePicks and he's projected for 5 over on Action Labs, maybe we take a shot here. I think this game will stay pretty close and competitive against the Bulls. Should see plenty of shots going up, plenty of opportunities for Will Barton and company to haul in some rebounds. Who else do we have here? Bridges for Phoenix, 3.5 boards. We know that he's been a pretty good source of rebound props in the past. He's not up on the board just yet. Maybe they'll add him later in the night. And Nikola Vucevic at just 9.5 rebounds, a 70% hit rate, -134 to go over at 9.5 boards. But his last 5 games, he's only covered this prop 2 times. So there's 3 games where he's went under in his last 5. I don't know that I feel so great about that, especially going against a tough rebounder in Nikola Jokic. It's the battle of the Nikolas tonight, guys. Moving down here, looking at some of the low hit rate players, guys that just aren't getting it done on the glass. Be careful with Kelly Oubre with all the injuries to, I should say, sickness or illness on the Charlotte Hornets. Kelly Oubre has been thrusted into a much larger role here. We'll have more opportunities to rebound. So at 5.5 rebounds, just a 20% hit rate. This could be a little misleading, a little bit deceiving. So potential trap there. Don't step in the trap. Norman Powell also not up on the PrizePicks board for his rebounds just yet, but at 3.5 boards, he's again another guy who's being thrusted into a much larger role. Will have a lot more usage, we'll say. So be careful with Norman Powell as well. No Damian Lillard, no Anthony Simons, so he'll be asked to do a little bit more. Malcolm Brogdon at 5.5 rebounds, covering at just a 30% hit rate. He is a betting favorite to go under at -120. Maybe we've got Malcolm Brogdon on the board. We do. Against Washington tonight, let's look at his last 5 games. He's only covered this prop in 2 out of his last 5. So more often than not, he is going under 5.5 rebounds. So Brogdon could be a look for you if you like playing unders. This could be a juicy little one. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection. Ouch, baby. They got him at 6.6 projected rebounds. So they like him to go over actually at 5.5 boards. So that might be a fade for me when all the information doesn't quite line up. When things don't kind of align for me and look squeaky clean, I kind of just back away and go find myself a better prop to play. Other names to consider, Domantas Sabonis at 12.5 boards, just a 30% hit rate, and KCP at 3.5 rebounds, a 30% hit rate, and a -134 to go under, but you're not going to find him here on PrizePicks. So that's it for rebounds. Let's flip it on over to the dime droppers. Let's look at the top hit rates for assists, the lowest hit rates for assists, and then we'll get on to the 3-point make category. So we're looking at assist here. This is props.cash. For those of you wondering, that's our research tool. The other site here is PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks. There's a link down in the description below. If you've never played on PrizePicks before, your first deposit, it's on me. Go ahead and put in anywhere from $20 up to $100. They're going to double your first deposit, making your first entry over on PrizePicks completely free, completely on the house or on me, however you want to look at it. They're going to double your dollars instantly. Just use promo code Curry, like you see floating above my head here. Yeah, that's promo code Curry to get your 100% instant deposit match. All right, so let's look at these assists. Cade Cunningham at 5.5 assists, a 70% hit rate. but he is a betting favorite at minus 142 to go under. It wasn't that long ago that I was auto smashing the over on Cade Cunningham's assists, but Killian Hayes has kind of seemed to, cut into Cade Cunningham's output a little bit in terms of assists. It's become a little more shaky, a little more dicey for me. In his last 5 games, he's covered 5 assists in 3 out of 5. That's a 60% hit rate. But here's what I'm talking about. Against the Lakers, he had just 2. Against Portland, he had just 1. Now today, they went ahead, taking liberties. They took his assists from 5.5, moved it down to 5. So they've shaved off the hook here against this Oklahoma City Thunder squad. At a minus 142, I can't really blame PrizePicks for doing this. This is probably going to be a prop that I stay away from, but I think if gun to head, you really, really want to play it, maybe you take the over today and hope for the very best on Cade Cunningham. You could end up in a tie situation. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection. Yeah, they got him at 4.5 assists. So this is going to be a fade for me, not going to Cade Cunningham despite the high hit rate. Derek White for the San Antonio Spurs. I've been playing his 3-point props at 1.5 lately, and he's been doing a very good job of hitting 2 or more threes in his last handful of games. So we've got Derek White at 3.5 assists right now, 70% hit rate, a big old betting favorite of minus 162 to cover 3.5 assists. For that reason, he is not up on the PrizePicks board. They're playing keep away, guys. They're playing keep away. Monty Morris of the Denver Nuggets, 3.5 assists, also representing 70% hit rate, minus 150 on the over. If you could get Monty Morris somewhere other than PrizePicks, go take him. But it doesn't look like it's very probable that we'll get him here up on the PrizePicks board. The only Nugget assist prop right now is Nikola Jokic. Chris Paul, 9.5 assists, 70% hit rate there, minus 130 to go over. I love targeting guys in a bounce back spot. And for Chris Paul, he ended up falling short on his assist prop in the last game with just 8. So maybe tonight he ends up going for 10 or more. Let's pull up a projection for you using Action Labs on CP3. They got him going for 9.6, and he's a betting favorite at 9.5 assists to go over 9.5. So yeah, I mean, maybe you take a shot here against this San Antonio Spurs squad and take the over on Chris Paul. DeJounte Murray at 6.5 assists. I'm probably murdering this dude's name. 70% hit rate, minus 140 to go over. He's another guy that's been having a fantastic season for the Spurs. Looking at his last 5 games, he's gone over 6.5 assists in 4 out of 5, 80% hit rate. So Murray could be a good position, a good look to take. I've got a projection for him at 6.8. Again, kind of like Chris Paul, a betting favorite at over 6.5 assists. Got the projections going for him. Got the high hit rates in the last 10 and the last 5 working out for him. So Murray here against the Phoenix Suns might be another good way to go. Going down to one of the plays that I kind of teased earlier, Franz Wagner. He's the darling, I think, today of the assist prop category. Franz Wagner, we liked his points a little bit, but what I like even more are these 2.5 assists, and I think you can kind of see why, because he's gone over in 5 straight games, and not just over by like 1 assist, over by 2 or sometimes 3 assists versus where he needs to be on most nights. So 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. You kind of get an idea, right? Franz Wagner's clearing 2.5 assists with ease. 70% hit rate in his last 10 games, a betting favorite at minus 114 to go over. This one might be one that isn't on everybody's radars. He's not a household name. He's not well known. He's a rookie for the Orlando Magic. So let's go ahead and look at this one a little bit closer here using props.cash. I told you that we would come back to Franz Wagner. I see you guys in Discord. I see you guys on Twitter. I see you guys in this morning's chat talking about this Franz Wagner assist prop. So we got to dig into it a little bit deeper. There's a whole lot of green here. I will say that ever since Jalen Suggs has went down, Franz Wagner taking on a bigger role for the Orlando Magic. In fact, I think he's probably the second best setup guy for the Orlando Magic. Obviously, we got Cole Anthony running point for Orlando, but behind him, Franz Wagner's getting that secondary ball handling, playmaking duties behind Cole Anthony. They don't really have anybody else in the starting lineup to handle those roles. Gary Harris, not really going to be that guy. Wendell Carter Jr., no. Mo Bamba, absolutely not. It's going to be Franz Wagner. So if the ball is not in Cole Anthony's hands, Franz Wagner showing that he is capable of initiating and setting up the offense, which is why you're seeing a lot more assists here with Suggs out of the lineup. 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 5 in his last 6 games. 6 straight where he's cleared 2.5 assists, averaging 2.6 for the season, 3.6 in his last 10, and 4.6, over 2 assists higher than where his line is today. So makes a lot of sense why you guys are liking this particular prop. Yes, the Golden State Warriors are a tough team. They rank fourth in total assists allowed, giving up nearly 22 assists per game. Pretty stingy there. And yes, this game has a huge spread. 16-point favorites are the Golden State Warriors. But Franz Wagner at 2.5 assists, I think this is the type of prop where this guy can get it done for you in the first half. I mean, I think this number's low enough that Franz Wagner potentially can get it done in the first half. And I think he'll be dropping assists off to guys like Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba, because Golden State, if you attack them anywhere, if they have a weakness at any point, it's probably at the center/power forward position. So I expect Wagner to Wendell Carter Jr. to be a play, Wagner to Mo Bamba to be a play tonight. Looking down here at his minutes, his last 5 games, you can see his minutes are up. No Jalen Suggs means more minutes for Franz Wagner. He's up to nearly 34 minutes per game in his last 5. So let's get you a projection here according to Action Labs. Now, if they say under on this guy, I absolutely will have to disagree and have to fade. Okay, good. They do have him going over at 2.6 projected assists. It's not a huge over, but it's closer to 3 assists than it is 2, right? So they are liking the over on Franz Wagner. I think I am too. I'm in agreement with a lot of you folks who have been touting this play. Yes, Oma, there's a blowout chance, of course, for sure. Like we talked about, huge spread here. But again, I think Wagner at 3 assists, he could get that in the first half in 2 quarters of play. I think this is attainable here for Franz Wagner. So he's probably going to be one of my favorite assist props that I've seen this morning. I think we might end up seeing that one get bumped up to 3 assists. If anyone from PrizePicks is watching this live stream, don't touch Franz Wagner's assist. We think he's going to go under tonight. We don't like Franz Wagner. We're not going to play him despite what the entries may show. Don't touch him. Leave him at 2.5 assists. Thank you very much in advance. Yours truly, Curry, the creator. All right. Anyway, let's go down here. Let's look at some of these low assist props here. Jakob Poeltl, another guy who keeps popping up all day long today. We talked about his points, his rebounds, his assists, 2.5 assists, 10% hit rate, -172 to go under. Andrew Wiggins, 2.5 assists. They've got him at a 10% hit rate right now, -180 to go under. You're not going to find him up on the PrizePicks board, not at a -180 to go under. Same thing with Poeltl at -172. Those huge odds, PrizePicks ain't giving them to us. Gordon Hayward, 4.5 assists, 20% hit rate, -144. Be careful with that one, though, because as we mentioned before, no Terry Rozier, no LaMelo Ball, more ball handling duties for Gordon Hayward. In fact, I'm not even seeing him up on the PrizePicks board at the moment. So DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists, just a 20% hit rate, -140 to go under. PrizePicks has already bumped him down to 5 assists. That would definitely be one that I would consider taking the under on. His role is to score the basketball, rebound a little bit for Chicago. Your assist guys, though, your setup guys are going to be Zach LaVine. He's one that I like taking the over on potentially here. You can see his last 5 games gone for over 4 assists in 80% of those games. I think he's a good look. We could pull up a projection for you using Action Labs on Zach LaVine. If I could spell his name right, we could get somewhere on this prop. 4.5 assists, so they do like the over. He is a betting favorite, though, at 4.5 at -150, so they like him to go under. Worst case, maybe you end up in a push or a tie situation, but I do like Zach LaVine against Denver. Lonzo Ball's another one who at 5 assists has gone over 5 assists in 5 straight games. That's a 100% hit rate. I think Lonzo Ball makes a lot of sense if you don't like Zach LaVine. They got him projected for 5.8 dimes tonight against this Denver Nuggets squad. But he is a big -165 under 5.5 assists. So you have a tough decision to make on both of those guys. Anyways, any others that look like they're standouts for me? Probably not. Not really. Not going to look at any of these other guys a whole lot. Let's go ahead and move it on over to the next and final category here. We're talking about 3-point makes. And thankfully, we've got quite a few of the different options up here. I mentioned Derek White earlier. He's been covering at 1.5. I don't mind him. We're going to probably look at him a little bit closer. Lou Dort, maybe without SGA in the lineup. Maybe we take a shot on Lou Dort. He is not my favorite player, though. He is a highly volatile guy, it seems like. He does tend to get a whole lot of shots up, though, whenever SGA is not in the lineup. Anyway, let's look at some of these other high hit rate guys. Maybe we'll get more props added today, thanks to PrizePicks. Keldon Johnson of the Spurs at just a half of three-pointer. 90% hit rate, minus 260 over. I promise you, we probably will not see that one. And if I'm wrong, then I just broke a promise. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at 1.5 3-point makes an 80% hit rate. We really like KCP's points, or at least I did. He's been scoring very well for Washington. He's a minus 162 to go over 1.5 3-point makes. But again, not seeing him up on PrizePicks for that reason. Malcolm Brogdon at 1.5 3-point makes. I like that a lot. And so does the betting public. Minus 205 betting favorite to go over at 1.5 3-point makes. Andrew Wiggins at 1.5 threes, 70% hit rate, minus 140 to go over. We do actually have him up on the board against Orlando today. So finally, we get a 3-point prop that we can actually talk about. So in the last 10 games, a 70% hit rate. In the last 5 games, an 80% hit rate. Things are looking pretty good here for Andrew Wiggins. I also really like this matchup against the Orlando Magic. So let's go ahead, take a closer look at Andrew Wiggins here. And for that, we could just type in his name to props.cash. He's a big betting favorite, minus 138. A lot of money coming in on the over. 1.9 3-point makes this season, 2.1 in his last 10, and 2 in his last 5. So pretty steady, right around 2 3-point makes across all 3 averages. Looking at his last 10 games, a 70% hit rate. When we look at just the last 5, he has covered in 4 out of 5. We talked about the 80% hit rate. We can also look at previous matchups against the Magic. These are both from last season. He covered in 1 game against Orlando on February 11th of this year with 2. And then the rematch against Orlando on February 19th, he had just 1. So he ended up splitting in 2 previous matchups from last season against this very Orlando Magic squad. Well, not exactly this Orlando Magic squad. This team's a lot different than the team from last year. I think we're even worse. Anyway, against Orlando, some pretty favorable numbers here. Orlando ranking 17th in 3-point field goal percentage allowed, 23rd in 3-pointers allowed, and 29th in shooting guard defense. So a lot to love here in terms of the matchup. We already talked about the huge spread, though. 16-point favorites are the Golden State Warriors, 217-point total. So this is going to blow out. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will it blow out. Will it be a 20-point lead by halftime? Will it be a 30-point lead by halftime? We've seen Orlando fall behind to teams like the Milwaukee Bucks by 30 or 40 points at halftime. So could happen. The blowout's inevitable here, I think. In terms of minutes, though, about 33 minutes per game in his last 5. That is an uptick versus the last 10. That is also an uptick versus his season averages of just 30 minutes per game. Looking at his 3-point attempts in the last 5 games, about 4.2. So his 3-point attempts are actually starting to come down a little bit. He's attempting about 5 per game over the course of the season, 4.7 in his last 10, 4.2 in his last 5. So you don't like to see that, especially if you're looking to target the over on Andrew Wiggins. Now, the good thing about Action Labs is that they're one of very few resources or sites out there where you can find 3-point projections, and they're usually pretty darn good. So let's pull one up here for Andrew Wiggins, and they do favor him going over 1.5 3-point makes with 1.8. You could cross-reference this with Betting Pros. I think they also offer some 3-point projections, but nonetheless, looking like a good potential overplay as long as you're not afraid of the blowout. Andrew Wiggins could definitely knock down 2 threes and maybe like the first half of the game against a very favorable matchup in Orlando here. So looking at some of these other props, we talked about Lou Dort. Lou Dort is at 2 3-point makes on PrizePicks. At 2.5, he does have a 60% hit rate, but they're betting the under, meaning they think he's going to make 2 or less threes tonight. So maybe if you take the over on Lou Dort, he ends up in a push situation. You kind of look at his last 5 games here. You could see in the last 4 out of those 5 games, an 80% hit rate at making 2 or more three-pointers. So let's pull up a projection. I won't go too in the weeds on Lou Dort, but they do have him projected for 2.6 3-point makes. So I would definitely say lean toward the over, but don't be surprised if you end up in a tie or push situation on Mr. Luguentz Dort. Funny name. Real funny name. Doug McDermott, another guy maybe you can consider at 1.5 3-point makes. He's one that's actually up on the PrizePicks board. He's covered this in 3 out of his last 5, 60% hit rate, 60% hit rate in his last 10 as well. Currently a betting favorite at -136 to go over. We talked about Derek White. He's been doing very well at covering his 3-point prop 4 straight games now, going for at least 2 or more 3-point makes. So that's an 80% hit rate for him. I will pull up a projection for Mr. White just to help you guys out. 2.3 projected 3-point makes, and he's a -145 to go over 1.53. Showing very good form lately, so I don't mind you taking a shot on Derek White over 1.5 3-point makes. Let's look at some of the low hit rate guys, and then we'll turn it on over to chat. We'll take a look at Yatil, Mr. Pringle, and everyone else's favorite props. What's good to you, DFS Whisperers? Good to see you this morning. What's up to you, Nick Hunt in the building? He's late, but he's here. That's all right. You can be late. You can go back and always watch the replay of these shows. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button for me, guys. Those of you who are just now showing up. All right, Dylan Brooks at 2.5 3-point makes, just a 10% hit rate, -192 to go under 2.5, which is why PrizePicks has went ahead and knocked this man down to 2 3-point makes. You can see 5 straight games. A lot of these are without Ja Morant. Just 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. 1 is his favorite number in terms of 3-point makes. They usually say that 1 is the loneliest number. But for us, maybe 1 ends up making us some money. They have him projected for 1.8 3-point makes, so they like him to miraculously knock down at least 2 versus the Miami Heat tonight. I don't know if I'm buying it based on what we're seeing here. You tell me. Norman Powell, if we get him up on the board, 2.5 3-point makes, just a 10% hit rate, -158 to go under there. Tyus Jones, you don't think of him as a big time scorer for this Memphis squad, 10% hit rate at 1.53s, -230 to go under his prop. Aaron Gordon, not a great 3-point shooter, decent but not great, at 1.5 3-point makes, 20% hit rate, -245. And then last but not least, Caris LeVert. We do have him up on the board. Caris LeVert at just 1.5 3-point makes. Has failed to go over in 3 straight games. Overall, just a 40% hit rate in his last 5 games. 30% hit rate in his last 10 games. Caris LeVert, let's pull up a projection on him because I want to say go under. We don't have a projection for Caris LeVert, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Nonetheless, though, that's going to do it for my portion. Where are we at here? We're at about 1 hour already. Jeez Louise, time really flies when we're having fun on these live streams. Let's take a few questions and see what you folks are liking here. We'll start things off with Mr. James Lill. Should I take the Timberwolves money line versus the Hawks tonight? Well, I'm more of a player prop guy, to be honest with you. I couldn't answer that question for you, James. Thanks for leaving all those basketballs. You did a great job of catching my attention, but I don't have an answer for you in that case. I will give that up to the chat. Maybe there's someone in chat who can answer that question for you. Christopher Pringle says, do you think his downfall game, or will he keep it rolling? Who are we talking about? Franz Wagner, or don't know who we're talking about there. Sorry. Ibrahim says, that's my fear. So whatever you guys are talking about, you guys seem to be very scared and frightened that this will be a downfall game for whoever this mystery man is. I'm not going back up and trying to figure it out. Will says, best assist prop has been Tyus Jones. Been crushing it since starting for Ja Morant. Let's see if we've got Mr. Tyus Jones up. You seem to really like that one, Will. And Will's been making some money, so we got to see what Will's talking about, what Will's liking today. All right, at 6 assists, 4 straight games of going over 6 assists, 8, 7, 9, and 7. So 100% hit rate in his last 4. I think this game here on November 26th against Atlanta, maybe Ja was in for that game. Maybe that's to blame for the low assist total. But yeah, Tyus Jones looking pretty solid here in terms of his assist prop. Maybe we can pull up a projection for you and give you a little bit more info on Tyus Jones. They got him at 6.4 projected assists. Not really seeing any money coming in on the over or under at 6.5. But the fact that the sportsbooks have him at 6.5 and PrizePicks has him at 6, that's a half of an assist value, I guess you could say. I'd probably say click the over here on Tyus Jones, and worst case, maybe he ends up with 6. But against this depleted Miami Heat squad, I don't mind you taking the over on some Tyus Jones. What else have we got here, guys? What else are we talking about this morning? You were mentioning Cade threes. Fusion he says Cade threes. Cade Cunningham threes. That has been one way that I have not played Cade Cunningham this season. Not that it's a bad play. I just haven't really gone there. I was looking more at his assists and rebounds earlier in the season, but look, this dude's been knocking down some threes in his last handful of games here. The last 5, he's gone for 2 or more 3-point makes. It's an 80% hit rate on Cade Cunningham. So maybe we consider going over on this particular prop. We know the Oklahoma City Thunder, not an especially difficult team in terms of matchups. So let's take a look. Maybe I can get you a projection here on Cade Cunningham if it's up on Action Labs. Well, they got him going for exactly 2 3-point makes, but he's a huge minus 155 betting favorite to go under at 2.53. So that's why PrizePicks knocked him down to 2. So maybe you end up in a tie or a push situation, but yeah, I'd probably say lean toward the over just based on his recent form and the matchup against OKC. What else are we liking here? Anthony's saying Bradley Beal assist. Frisky, but I don't know. It's Monday. Well, I was loving some Bradley Beal at 5.5. At 6.5, man, things are starting to get a little steep here on Bradley Beal. But he's showing in his last 5 games that he can still get it done, even at a higher 6.5 assist number. He's gone over this particular line in, 4 out of his last 5 games, so an 80% hit rate. I can pull up a projection for you on Brad Beal. They are on a back-to-back. Oh, he's at 5.2 projected assists, so they like him to go under 6.5 on Action Labs. Now, again, these are just projections. These aren't the end-all, be-all. And not to mention, this is just only one projection site out there. There's many others that you can check out. So definitely give those a look, cross-reference, kind of aggregate the different projections from different sites. Maybe you average them all together and come up with a number. If that number is higher or lower than 6.5 assists, then maybe that's kind of your tiebreaker. Kind of pushes you over or keeps you under on this particular prop at 6.5. 6.5, I mean, it just does kind of seem a little bit higher. I liked it better at 5.5, but Gio says, Jarrett Allen fantasy points looks pretty good to me. Well, Jarrett Allen, if you've been playing any type of daily fantasy sports lately, or if you're just paying attention to the sports world, Jarrett Allen has been playing very good basketball since Colin Sexton has went down. So let's find Jarrett Allen today. He's going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. Typically this season and in seasons past, if you're wanting to attack the Milwaukee Bucks, you're going to do it with a big man. And Jarrett Allen sort of fits the bill. 5 straight games now. 5 straight games he's gone over 37.5 fantasy points. So that's a 100% hit rate on Jarrett Allen. Now, luckily for you, on Fantasy Labs, they got a little bit of everything going on here, so we could pull up some fantasy projections as well using Fantasy Labs for that. Got to make sure we're looking at FanDuel. Let's go ahead and type in Allen's name. I've got Jarrett Allen projected for 38.4 fantasy points, making him a favorite to go over. You got the 5-game streak going where he's gone over 37.5 fantasy points. You got a projection of 38.4 according to Fantasy Labs. And we can also take a look at this little handy tool that I found here. It's like a little cheat sheet for free over on Fantasy Pros. Just type in Fantasy Pros, FanDuel defense versus position, and it kind of gives you a little chart here, a little breakdown at how these different teams do against different positions. So for this, we want to click center, and then we want to come down here, click the FanDuel points column, and then we're going to go find the Milwaukee Bucks and see kind of where they rank here. They're actually one of the tougher teams. They give up 47.3 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. So if Jared Allen's not getting a bulk of these fantasy points, then some of these are going to probably go to whoever the backup is for Cleveland. Maybe that's Kevin Love. Maybe they consider Evan Mobley, who's listed here at a forward/center. But don't expect Jared Allen to get all 47.3 of these fantasy points that the Bucks give up per game. But maybe it's a more difficult matchup than it seems. It could be a little bit of a sweat on Jared Allen tonight. What else are you guys liking here? We'll take a few more of these, and we'll try to keep this as short as possible. I know we've been going for like an hour and a half, but I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter. Zach Wilson says, where do you get the stats on the left? Well, if you're talking about this right here, this is props.cash. So these NBA player prop trends and all that, that is props.cash. These little lovely green and red bar graphs, that is all props.cash. This is Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs here. This is Fantasy Labs and their NBA fantasy models. And then this is just a little free cheat sheet, a chart that you can find on Fantasy Pros. So we use a Swiss Army knife of different tools here. Hopefully that answers your question though, Mr. Zach Wilson. Mawand says, Bradley Beal assist. Yeah, we looked at those. I didn't love him. I mean, you could, because he's still hitting it. Even at 6.5 assists, he's still hitting, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Bradley Beal. So I don't know that I love it as much at 6.5 as I did at 5.5. But you could. I mean, he's projected to go under according to Action Labs. So just cross-reference, check some of those other player prop sites for various projections on Bradley Beal's assists. My man Shai says, DeJounte Murray and Kelly Oubre over fantasy points. Yes, it's no secret, I think, at this point that DeJounte Murray, the cat is out of the bag. This dude is crushing most nights his fantasy point prop. 42.5 is his number today. I think he was at 40.5 yesterday, which I can't believe somehow I didn't take that. But 5 straight games for him as well, going over 42.5 fantasy points, so 100% hit rate. Yeah, it's a tough game against this Phoenix Suns squad, but let's pull up Murray here. You guys want to take a look at that? I got him projected for 41.8. 41.8, really close to 42.5. Maybe it's close enough where you're like, I'm going to roll the dice here and see if we can go over on Murray. Looking at this Phoenix Suns squad, though, we can kind of get an idea how many fantasy points per game they give up to opposing guards, point guards. He's kind of a combo guard, so it's really tough to, put him into a box like that as far as guard position. Where the heck are the Phoenix Suns at here? I'd imagine they were down at the bottom somewhere, but apparently I'm blind. I really don't see them. Jeez, there they are. Sheesh. 46.4 fantasy points allowed to opposing point guards. So if you put him in that point guard category, again, he's not going to get all 46.5 of these points. Then we could take a look at where they've got him here in terms of shooting guards. They give up about 37 fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. So this is going to be kind of a tough matchup here for Murray. But he's faced some other tough teams too, like Golden State, where he put up nearly 50 fantasy points against them. So not too worried about it. I think you continue to maybe ride the hot hand on DeJounte Murray. Kelly Oubre has been another guy who's just been scorching hot in terms of scoring. You're liking the over on his fantasy points. Let's look at those real quick. If he's getting good real life points, that's going to be where a bulk of his fantasy points are made up from. 31, 42, 33, 27, 37. So he's gone over in 80% or 4 out of the last 5 games. So I think maybe Kelly Oubre here could be another guy that you target the over on. He's going against the Philadelphia 76ers. He's kind of a shooting guard / small forward type of player. Let's see where Philadelphia ranks against them. They've got him at they give up about 38 fantasy points per game to opposing shooting guards. Let's take a look and see where they are for small forwards. They give up about, let's say, about 40 fantasy points to small forwards. So, yeah, maybe take a shot on Kelly Oubre. I think Gordon Hayward's another guy maybe worth looking at if you look at the fantasy points allowed per game by the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's pull up a projection for Oubre for you. I got him at 33.7, so that's a pretty good differential versus where he's at on PrizePicks. Take a stab on some Kelly Oubre. What else are we talking about here? Yeah, guys, you don't have to spam. I know, Edwin, that you want your question answered and everything, but you don't have to spam the basketballs and all that. You guys don't have to do that. Really, you don't. Vucevic under 16.5 points. Nikola Vucevic, he's been kind of up or down. We talked about him in the past. He's been a guy who he shares the basketball with obviously DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine. There's lots of guys around him who eat and demand the ball. He's kind of been too volatile for me to really trust lately. I thought he was in a very good spot against Brooklyn. In fact, I wrote him up on our Patreon post and did not get there. Fell quite short, shot the ball really poorly against a pretty soft Brooklyn front court. But Nick Vucevic at 16.5. I'll pull up a projection for you. We'll try to get through a few more questions and then I'm going to get up out of here. Vucevic projected for 21.6. 21.6 real life points against Nikola Jokic. Who's going to win the battle of the Nikolas tonight? Is it going to be Jokic or is it going to be Vucevic? Right now, though, I mean, that's a pretty big difference. You're talking about 5 points projected for 5 points more. So pretty crazy. Landry Shamet will crush that over on 2.53. So says Dave Gutierrez. Alrighty. Tyus Jones over assists. Yep, we talked about that one. Emmanuel says, CJ, what's up? I never knew you can 15x your money on PrizePicks. Can you talk more about that? Please explain how it works. Well, listen, I've asked the VP, the headlines maker of PrizePicks, myself, what's the secret? What's the formula? What's the move? He's been pretty tight-lipped. He has not told me or shown me how you can consistently get that 15x. What I have noticed, though, is it seems to be tied to just football plays. Usually it's like taking a quarterback over with a quarterback under in the same line. You could even, sprinkle in some other sports, whether that be NBA, CSGO, NHL, whatever it is you play. But I think the key is just taking negatively correlated plays, typically football plays, in one entry. Will's liking some Kelly Oubre over on threes. He's been jacking them up lately. Yeah, we talked to Oubre. We really like his points. He's been scoring the ball really well, so I don't mind you taking a shot on some Kelly Oubre over 3-point makes. You look at his last 5 games, kind of been up or down, mostly up though, making 3 or more in 60% of his recent contests. So yeah, we could look at some Kelly Oubre. You could also look at Kelly Oubre's points. We talked about that, 20.5 points. He's gone over in 4 out of 5. So maybe his points are a little bit safer than his 3-point makes. Let's get you a projection on Kelly Oubre here. I got a projection for 19.8, putting him very, very close to 20.5, but just a little bit shy, a little bit short. But you can kind of see in his last 5 games that he's been going over. Nathan Frazier says, I love you. If that was aimed toward me, directed at me, Nathan, I love you back. Thank you for those kind words this morning. Go on down here. Let's go on down. Jadinho says, no Dinwiddie tonight. KCP looking like the move. Listen, Contavious Caldwell-Pope is putting up shots and getting buckets, y'all. 11.5 points gone over in 5 out of his last 6 at least. 26 in his last game against Toronto. He is on a back-to-back. Indiana, somewhat tough. Could be a tough matchup for you. DeMar DeRozan under 0.5 3-point makes. Yeah, DeMar doesn't take a whole lot of threes, so I definitely don't feel great about going over on him. But then again, he could just be one of them guys where he tosses one up and it drops. So I typically stay away from those 0.5 props. I don't know. They're just so boom or bust. Craig says, I've been on Tyus Jones since the start. Anyway, does anyone like Grant over points? Listen, I will give Craig his flowers. I will say, Craig, you are right. I remember you a couple shows back saying, don't sleep on Tyus Jones. Don't sleep on Tyus Jones. And you're right. Tyus Jones has been the man. And at 6 assists, I think that's a number that you could probably feel okay taking the over on. So shout out to you, Craig. You're always in here dropping some very helpful, very useful information. So I appreciate you. CM Moore says, DeJounte Murray assist. DeJounte Murray assist. I think we talked about him already briefly. Where is he at? 6.5 assists, something like that, right? Or is he not up on the board? He's not up on the board on PrizePicks. So maybe yep. So I take that back. I retract the previous statement. Yes, 6.5 assists. He's gone over in 4 out of 5, 80% hit rate. So Murray assists has been great. Murray, everything really, right? So if we're liking the over on Murray's assists, we're liking the over on his points, we're liking the over on his rebounds, we got to like the over on his fantasy points, right? But yeah, he is a minus 135 to go over 6.5 assists, projected for 6.8, showing good hit rates here in his last 5. Against Phoenix, though. Phoenix is tough. Hal says Seth Curry threes over. Seth Curry threes over against Charlotte. Maybe. 2, 2, 3, 3, and 0. So yeah, 4 out of his last 5 games hit 2 or more. So that's an 80% hit rate. I can get you a projection. Thankfully, Action Labs offers pretty accurate 3-point shots, 3-point shot projections. Oh, they don't have Seth Curry up though. They have Steph Curry at 5.9, but no Seth Curry, unfortunately. Well, that sucks. But yeah, I think just looking at his game logs here, looking at the matchup against Charlotte, they're a little depleted in their backcourt. Maybe Seth Curry over 2 3-point makes could be a good move. Kevin says, Indiana Pacers have a top 10 team defense in terms of assists allowed. I think he goes under 6.5 assists. Yeah, I don't know, man. This could be a trap here on Bradley Beal at 6.5. Just seems a little too rich. I'll probably step away from Bradley Beal's assists in this one. Andy Lopez giving out the warning. Beware of Duncan Robinson's threes at home. Warning has been issued. David says, DeJounte Murray has been crushing his fantasy points. Yeah, you just got to keep riding it, right? Got to keep riding it. Appreciate all the new subs, by the way. OTD with the sub. Wig X has subbed to the channel. Rahul has subbed to the channel. Rob Murty, good to have you aboard as well. Dilly Benz with the new sub. And Tyler, just Tyler. We don't know anything else about him. He's just Tyler. Subscribed to the channel about 30 minutes ago. I appreciate all of the new subs. We really do have a shot at getting to 3,000 subs. I thought it was going to be tough, but we really do. All right, guys, what else are we talking about here? I got to get out of here at some point, right? Let's see what else. Let's buzz through these real quick. Miles Turner over on rebounds. Let's take a quick look at it. Miles Turner, 6.5 boards, has gone over in 1, 2, 3 out of his last 5. 60% hit rate on some Miles Turner. Let's get you a projection, 7.9. So we'll call it 8. 8 rebounds projected for tonight. His line over on your favorite sports book is at 7.5. So we're getting a value here at 6.5. So yes, I think that's a good way to go. What else? Lost my place here. Embiid points. Embiid has been on the struggle bus when it comes to scoring, but 25.5 points. Oh, in his last 4 games has covered this in 2 out of 4. So the reason I cut it off there in his last 4, because he missed a lot of time between November 6th and November 27th. But in his last 4 games has gone over 25.5 in 2 out of 4. So a 50% hit rate. I don't know that I'm ready to trust Embiid yet. But let's see what the Action Labs projections have Embiid at. Well, they don't have one. No projection for Joel Embiid, unfortunately. Let's try his first name. Yeah, no. He's just not up there. Anyway, I'm not totally trusting Joel Embiid. Yes, it's a great matchup against Charlotte, so I can understand why you would want to take a shot on the over. Yep, talked about Murray's assist. Isaiah Stewart over 9.5 rebounds looks pretty juicy versus a poor rebounding OKC team. Good point. made once again by Craig. Yes, targeting big guys against the Oklahoma City Thunder has been a good move, has been working out more often than not. So if you like some beef stew, well, then pull out the bowl and the spoon and eat up here. Isaiah Stewart at 9.5 rebounds has gone over 9.5 boards in 3 out of 5. I'll get you a projection on Isaiah Stewart before I get out of here. He's at 9.7 boards, but is a betting favorite. To go under 9.5. Mo Bamba over 8.5 boards. We're doing the lightning round, guys. We're doing the lightning round here. Mo Bamba, 8.5 boards. Let's look at his last 5 games. Over 8.5 in 1, 2 out of his last 5. So just a 40% hit rate. You guys want the lightning round? Let's do it. Mo Bamba 10.2 projected rebounds, so they like him to go over 8.5. I have to say, I trust Wendell Carter Jr. more than I trust Mo Bamba right now. Carter Jr.'s been the man. Just my 2 cents. Seth Curry over 24 fantasy points. Lightning round. Let's do it. Seth Curry, 24 fantasy points. There he is. In his last 5 games, he's gone over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 80% hit rate on Seth Curry's fantasy points. Seth is at 26.3, so the over looks like a decent way to go. Cade Cunningham, we talked about his threes. Trill Fate, 15x is a trap. I agree with you. I never chased those 15x payouts. DeJounte Murray assists, talked about those. Howe says, CJ, I got 15x for negative correlation of same game quarterback, same game center, and a 4-pick power yesterday. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Every time I ask this question, it seems like somebody new, or like there's like a new way of getting the 15x. So I don't know what the secret is behind it. PJ Tucker under points. Jodinho. Let's go. We're doing the lightning round. Let's do it. PJ Tucker. Where are you at today? 6.5 points. Last 5 games, 5, 8, 6, 6, 2. Has went under 6.5 in 80% of the last 5 games. Let's pull up some PJ Tucker here. Real quick. We're getting through it. 5.3 is the projection I have, although he is a betting favorite at minus 115 to go over 6.5. So for whatever reason, they like him to go over. What else we got? We're buzzing through them. Embiid points. Don't love it. Don't feel safe about it. Basley under points has been a very good source of hits. He's at 8.5 today. 5 straight games where he's went under 8.5 points. 100% hit rate on Basley. So yes, if you want to take an under on Basley, you can. Now, for some reason, guys, Action Labs has him going for 13 real life points. He's also a betting favorite, minus 118 to go over 8.5. Eventually, Basley will find the scoring finesse once again, but I don't know if it's tonight. Ibrahim says Steph Curry under on points, blowout being the reason. Don't mind that. No Mo Bamba rebounds, I'm guessing. Yeah, I like Wendell Carter Jr. going over his rebound number. Mo Bamba's just probably going to be a fade for me. Phoenix Suns money line. All right, Barry, thanks for dropping that in here. Kyle Kuzma under 7.5 boards. This is the last one, and I'm getting out of here. Kyle Kuzma over 7.5 boards, or under. Oh, under. My bad. Kyle Kuzma under 7.5 boards. He has went under 7.5 rebounds in 4 straight games. 80% hit rate when taking the under. Important to make that distinction. 80% hit rate going under 7.5 rebounds. So yeah, Kyle Kuzma not getting it done on the glass. Last but certainly not least, unfortunately, no projection for Kyle Kuzma, but check out some of those other sites I mentioned, NumberFire, RotoWire, you know the drill, Betting Pros. There's other ones out there for Kyle Kuzma under on rebounds. That's it, guys. I'm out of here. Feel free to get your last minute plays into the chat. I'll put up a fancy little stream ending soon video, and I'll let you go lock in some entries. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everyone new who has subscribed, and thank you so much for everyone for dropping the likes and continuing to support what I do here daily. We will catch you on the next one, guys. Peace.